Yes, this is
In
better.
this way, it's better.
We are
That's
on-
better. Okay.
And
Sorry.
I will give first a short introduction.
Sorry, girls, we are online now.
Yeah, online? Okay. Hello, I warmly welcome you to our 82nd webinar by the Academy of Space Renaissance International. My name is Sabine Heinz, and I'm the person responsible for our webinar series. And on this 19th of May 2025, I'm really delighted that you have come to join us, and I would like to introduce you with our special guest. Today, we have Dr. Loreto Moraga from Chile as a special guest, and she will talk about Chile Space Ecosystem and challenges. Hello and welcome, Dr. Moraga.
Hello. Thanks for the invitation. I'm pleased to be connected with you today. Just to be clear, I'm not a PhD. I'm a lawyer. I'm a master in law, but
yeah.
but not a doctor, not doctorate, not yet.
Yeah.
But well, anyway, I'm the president of the Chilean Space Association, and in that capacity, I'm pleased to be here and let you know what is going on here.
Okay, thank you for this advice. I also would like to welcome Adriano Autino. He's also one of our vice presidents, like me, but he is former president and one of the founders of SRI. Hello, Adriano.
Hello, Sabine. Hello, Loreto. Very happy you are here, and we are very eager to listen to your presentation. Okay, we met together in Milan at IAC in 2024, and yeah, we had good conversation, and so okay, very welcome here.
Yes, I'm always interested in law topics, in space law topics. Yeah, before I give you the floor, I would like to introduce you to our audience. Loreto Moraga is a lawyer from the Universidad de Chile, and she owns a master in business law from the University or Universidad de Desarrollo, ¿es correcto? She is managing director of law firm Moraga Contracts Corporate. She is president of the Chilean Space Association, ACHIDE, and she is president of the Chilean Helicopter Association, ACHEL or ACHEL, member of the Chilean Institute of Aviation and Space Law, IDAE. And between 1996 and 2007, she was an associate lawyer and head of the corporate services area at Estudio Carvallo, a firm specialized or a company specialized in the areas of aviation law and insurance law. As of 2007, she began working independently, constituting the law firm Moraga Contracts Corporate that advises aeronautical manufacturers and operators, suppliers of goods and services in mining and engineering service companies. In 2008, she participated in the creation of Chilean Helicopter Association, joining its board of directors, and from 2018 assuming the presidency, leading the creation in Chile of the operational safety project VAST Chile, and currently starting the Advanced Air Mobility Roadmap project with the Civil Aviation Board, Ministries of Energy, Transportation, Public Infrastructure, and private organizations. During the year 2017, she participated in the review of the space policy, and in 2018, she assumed as a director and first vice president of the Chilean Space Association, which she currently chairs. Yeah, Loreto, the floor is yours, and I'm really happy that you are here with us. Okay.
So just
Thank you.
I will share.
Yes, Adriana, if you can help me.
Sí, vamos a ver.
Thank you for that.
Right.
Well, I'm outside as the people who are with us now watching this presentation. I am outside in the garden. Yes. Yes,
Yes.
because I have technical problems. So I'm outside here trying to have better connection, and well, that's
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
Try to go.
Yes, we can use the full screen.
Okay.
Yes,
That
he's
would be
trying
awesome.
to put
Can you see?
full
Can you see
screen.
the full screen? Sorry. Can you
No,
see
not
it?
yet, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Go back and try it again.
Why not?
Yes, we see some slides now.
You see 4 slides.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
exactly.
don't understand why okay, just a moment. Try again.
No
Technique is
problem.
something very nice. Oh,
Try to
my cat
now. Can you see it?
baby now destroyed a
Yes,
plant.
perfect.
Okay, we can start.
Okay,
You may
Yes.
start your
Okay, good.
go ahead.
Well, basically, as in my capacity of the head of the Chilean Space Association, I would like to introduce you about the Chilean space ecosystem. We are a very emerging country in these fields. We have activity here for more than 50 years. However, that activity basically comes from the defense sector. It's not really spread in the state, in the academy, or in the private sector. So we are trying to do a lot of activities in order to make it visible and to have a strong position, yeah, in the future of our development strategy as a country. Well, first of all, of course, who we are. Basically, the Chilean Space Association is a private entity, non-profit, founded in 2000 by the engineers who participate in the first satellite program from the Chilean Air Force. They were just a group of engineers, and basically the goal they have was that Chile can create the space agency. That happened already. In some years ago, we have the Chilean Space Agency created, a very little one, and at that moment the association stopped to be activated because they felt that they have fulfilled the goal. However, now I see a lot of windows with the presentation. I don't know what exactly is happening, but there you are. There you are. Then I can see the image. But well, I was telling you that the beginning of this organization was basically focused on having the Chilean Space Agency. However, that agency just worked for 3 years, no more, because it was basically the name for a ministry council, not really a space agency. It didn't have any budget, legal existence as a unit. So the quality of that organization was not enough, not what really was needed, and compared to other existing space agency. However, that the organization of the Chilean Space Association was inactivated because they thought that was enough goal. Of course not. And some years later, in 2018, we got all together like a new generation of professionals working in a space. And we realized that we need to reactivate the organization, but with a new perspective and holistic perspective of the space, of the activity, and also of the people who can be involved in this association. Not only engineers. Of course, we are based, most of our members are engineers, but also we try to engage new people like psychologists, sociologists, lawyers, political analysts, architects, doctors, medicine, I mean, musicians, artists, because we think that the space is something that we need to think from holistic perspective, trying not to only reach a space, not to only explore, not to only develop technology. That's the main thing, of course. That's the way we are going to reach a space, but also to make it human, to really be able to make it extend our culture, yeah, extend our human way of life. And for that purpose, you need people from all kind of knowledge, all kind of studies. So philosophers, poetry, everything is welcome. The only requirement to be member of this association is to be a specialist, an expert on a space, because you have studies or because you have work, yeah, on these fields. We do not teach, yeah, but we try to take all this expertise and put it to work to push for this position of the space in our country, which is something you want to see sometimes very difficult in countries like in Latin America, because this is really, really far from being a priority at all. Please, Adriano, the next image. Thank you very much. Taking the 5 bases of an ecosystem, this is something that is used by different studies to measure the level of development of a space ecosystem in a country. We have 5 main bases: the institutional support, educational research, innovation, financing, of course, and legal framework. In each of these bases, I can indicate what is going on in Chile, which is our level of development. For example, let's see, institutional support. Space policy and institutionality is in progress. Now, what we have now a committee of ministries and an executive committee, a space committee. Both are a strategic level and an executive level. But again, we have the problem of not having a service, a public service created by law. It doesn't have any budget again. So we repeat the problem, we repeat the situation. The only step we made in these years is basically that now we have an executive level with a space executive committee that is an secretary, executive secretary is in charge. But the secretary and all the people who work in this executive committee, they are not space experts, and they do not work the whole of the time in this matter. They are part-time for these purposes. And you can see that this is really, really a big problem, because space now cannot be part-time. We need people full-time in the space thinking about this. So we have there a problem, of course. We have a lack of institutional development, okay? That's the first of the basis. The second, education and research. Well, we have a recent program. We are increasing the activity in the universities, and we have a gap in technological development. But the program we have, this is the good news. We have already a program and a strategy coming from defense, but not thinking in defense. Yeah, from the Chilean Air Force, they have developed in the last 10 years a program very ambitious of satellite development, trying to have local capacity buildings, and for that purposes, creating a program for 30 years, building the National Space Center that is going to be finished at the end of this year. And that is the good news, because the idea of this program is not only to work for defense, but to have a very, very close relation with whole academic field and also private sector. And that is the good news, because yes, we have a lot of people trying to work on this because they have seen that the new space is really a very attractive industry, and that Chile has assets, space assets that we
I guess you are frozen.
en- en- entrepreneurship. This is very difficult to pronounce in English, but we are very active creating and setting up companies. Chile is, we have a tradition of developing companies within Latin America. We are a very free economy, and our as a little economy, little country, we live based on international commerce. We live based on international investments. So this whole tradition of open and economy also had created a generation of people who would like to innovate and set up their own companies. Nobody here wants to work for other. Everyone wants to have their own business, and this is something that could be very good in this field of the new space, because you have people with ideas and with ambitions, and this is something that we have seen from the association, that there's a lot of startups now growing up in the universities with very young people trying to do things, and now in this global and very connected world, they have been able to do it, and that's the good news as well. But it's not measured. It's not really measured. We know about some startups. Some of them are very close related with our association, but it's very difficult to have an statistic or an official counting of the companies related to space, because we don't have a space agency. We don't have someone from a state doing something. So we are trying to do everything by our own in the association. Well, so we have here basically a lack of articulation, okay? Then the fourth basis, financing. Well, there's no dedicated funds coming from a public sector. Of course, we have a lack of financing coming from the state. We are a not developed country, so priorities are others. The economy in Chile is not growing in the last 5 years, so the amount of the money, the funds, or the budget coming from the state basically goes to health, goes to public safe, because we have a problem in the region, in the whole South America, about the organized crime organizations. And so we try to explain to the authority that for that purposes, for health, for housing and solutions in urban requirements, for emergencies, this country has a lot of natural disasters. Well, for all of those priority topics, space is very useful. However, we have not been yet they have not really comprehend that the use of space technology is really, really relevant for public policy development, and also measure the results of current public policies. Yeah, so this is something that we are now trying to communicate and to let the different ministry knows, because we have here ministry very sectorial, like agriculture, minery, fishing, very, very separate. And we have to try to communicate to each of those ministries that the use of space technology is very, very important in these days. But unfortunately, the foundings that all these sectors has for the development of these main industries in the country, the traditional, usual industries in our country, are not connected with the space. Yeah, so not the sectorial ministry, and also not the Ministry of Science, who is in charge of space according to law. They don't have the dedicated financing to space. However, astronomy is another topic in Chile that is very, very important. You know that the European Southern Observatory, ISO, we have a lot of facilities in Chile. The 70% of the observation is set up in this country. But that kind of financing, that kind of programs are not related to space exploration and satellites. So we have the authority here is not understanding that astronomy is also relevant in order to develop the space exploration, that we have that the knowledge that we have gained in that field is very useful, but the authority is not seeing that. So we have foundings, but for astronomers, not for the rest of the space. So we have here like two different situations or scenarios. And well, the last basis, the legal framework, Chile has signed all the international agreements of the Corpus Juris Spatialis. Also, we have signed the Artemis Accords, but at the end of last year, very recently, and some others, a memorandum of understanding. Yeah, for example, with Brazil, with Emirates, with European Union, but those memorandums are very, very, very general. They are not, they don't have any specific basis in order to have a work in progress or projects or something with a strategy or the programs, or it's a kind of agreement that is too general. So Chile here has not created really a strategy of what kind of agreements, international agreements, should be signing, and also it has not yet prepared even a draft of a space national law. We as our association has prepared a draft of a law bill, and we have discussed this law bill draft with Congress, with ministries, and some of our Senate has signed it, supporting the law bill, but we need the signature of the Chilean president, because according to our constitution, when you want to create like a new public service, that only could be signed as an initiative of a law bill coming from the Chilean president. Yeah, we have a presidential system. So now we are in our way, but very slow, moving very, very slow. And now this year is elections. We have elections of the new president. So nothing is going to happen this year, of course. And in the next one, well, let's see. We are working, of course, with the candidates, with all the candidates, trying to also engage the topic with their programs. So you can see that if we see very simple, very fast, these 5 bases, we have a lot of challenges, absolutely. But we assume those challenges in a very positive way, trying to be optimistic and try to see that we have assets. And the main asset is the people. The people want to do something in space. And in fact, we really don't need the space agency to do that. So basically, we are trying to move forward. And when the state realizes that the activity exists, then the institutional support will come. We are trying to be very pragmatic in that way. Okay, Adriana, you can move to the next image, please. Thank you very much. Well, here is it's a zoom in basically in this institutional support that I already mentioned. Basically here, what it says is that from 2018, the Ministry of Science, Technology, Knowledge, and Innovation was created. And in this law, the topic of space was mentioned of one of the topic that this ministry is competent. This is very important because before the creation, the existence of the Ministry of Science, space was a topic of no one. No one was in charge. So the space topic was 15 years ago was in the Ministry of Defense. Then it passed to the Ministry of Economy. Then it passed to the Ministry of Telecommunication. And then the Ministry of Science was created. And now, according to law, yeah, this is of its competence. So finally, we have a domicile, a legal domicile. That's a very good that's a very good step. However, as I mentioned before, we don't have any budget. In the national budget, there's not a line indicating a space activity, nothing like that. Simply Ministry of Science, and that's it. And depending on the ministry of that moment, is the amount of the funding that could be destinated to a space to someone who be in charge on a space activity. That's it. So it's very, very, very poor. Yeah, the possibility of having resources dedicated from the state to space. Well, then I mentioned here Decree number 24 that create the Council of Ministry that I already mentioned. This council has 5 ministries and the Ministry of Science. Those 5 are Foreign Affairs, Internal Affairs, Defense, Telecommunications, and public assets. I don't know exactly the translation in English, but basically the planning of all the land, the use of the land, and public assets in the land that is public owned by the state of the country. Yeah, that is bienes nacionales. That's the name in Spanish, and in English the translation could be public assets. The Ministry of Economy is not part of this council. And this is something that we think we have to get amend, yeah, because new space now is the engine. So someone from looking for this new space projection of the industry and the possibility of having this industry in the country should be there as well. So this is something that we are discussing now with the candidates for the next president. Well, and also I mentioned the executive committee head by an executive secretary that have just changed a couple of weeks ago. So this is usual in this country. The people in charge or the person in charge change, and you have to start all over again because the new one is not involved in the space sector and is not 100% dedicated to the topic. So this is a very, very traditional historic in our country that we need to start all over again, depending on the person that is in charge or is changing because leave the public service or simply is moved to another position. But the third topic here, the FACH, is Chilean Air Force, and DS is Dirección Espacial, the space division. Here you have the National Satellite System, and that is our vertebral column. Yeah, this is where we rest, and basically this is the main program that we need to work very closely. We as an association has an agreement with the Chilean Air Force to work very closely because they have created this program trying to spread the use and the technology all over the state, but also in the academy and in the private sector. Yeah, so we are optimistic on space topics because of this national satellite system. Okay, Adriano, please, the next image. Thank you. Regarding innovation, well, this is very simple. We have a lot of study centers. We have the armed forces, the sectorial ministry in the central government, the situation of a very lack of support that I already indicated. But the good news again is that we have regional governments with their own budget. And when they realize that space could be an attractive industry around which can develop another ones of their interest according to their regional economy, they realize that using these satellite national programs, they can develop regional space programs. So 2 regions in this moment are planning to build facilities. That is Antofagasta, where is the Atacama Desert, where they have a lot of astronomic facilities there. But one of the ground facilities that are part of the national satellite program is going to be placed in Atacama. So the regional government realized that they also wanted to build a building for innovation with laboratories, trying to engage the regional universities. That happened, and that was not planned at all. This was a really good surprise. And we have that good news in the north of the country and also in the Patagonia, in the very south, in Magallanes. Also, there is a ground station that the Chilean Air Force is going to place, and the regional government as well, they look at it and say, okay, but I want also a building for education, for innovation, laboratories, etc., etc. The same thing that was planned for Santiago is going to be made by and paid by the regional governments in the north of the country and in the very south, Patagonia, Magallanes, Chile. Yeah, so we are going to have soon 3 main sites of space in Chile that could be a really, really good and very interesting opportunity, because all of them will need to have projects and international partnerships because we have a lack of financing. So we need really here a partnership to do different things in the Atacama Desert, Santiago, or in the Patagonia. Well, we have regional universities and technical training centers. We have looking for collaborative plans. Then we have a regional productive sector like mining, fishing, tourism. This year, we focus on mining. Yeah, mining is a very important activity in Chile. They have also a lot of money they have, but they don't see the space as a serious investing alternative. That they think that the space mining is something of the science fiction. Yeah, but we are working very hard. We just have 3 weeks ago we have the first seminar of space resources, prepare and by miners engineers together with us. And that was a very different job because people coming from the industry, they convinced about this topic and they organized this seminar. And we are very, very happy because we have a lot of people of that industry being part of the seminar, and now realizing that is this is really not science fiction, that this is the presence. So we are on our way, we are moving. This is work in progress as well, but I'm really optimistic about the mining sector. Next year, at the beginning of next year, we have a very important fair, which is FIDAE. FIDAE is the Air and Space International Fair that is going to be at the beginning of April. This is the most important air and space fair in Latin America. And we are going to have a space summit and a mining resources seminar again, yeah, because people ask for it. So I think that that moment is going to be very, very important as well. Of course, everybody who is listening to this speech is cordially invited to come to that fair. That is going to be, I think, very, very good one. And well, at the end of this list is Corfo, which is the industrial agency with fundings. We are trying to set up a funding dedicated to space. Let's see if we are lucky with that. And at the end, the specialized organizations like ACHIDE, but we are not the only one. There are another ones, but the rest of the organizations basically are focused on education. Yeah, so we are really different, and we are trying basically to engage people to articulate. That is our goal here, to articulate the space ecosystem, something that should be done by a space agency. Well, as we have a lack of a space agency, okay, we we are trying to do that, but we are all volunteers. We don't get any payment for this, nothing at all. We are almost 70 professionals pushing for this topic as volunteers, simply as that. Adriano, please, the next one. Well, our network for these purposes are the Chilean universities, foreign entities. That we have, for example, Lunar Policy Platform, Moon Village Association, the Spanish Air and Space Platform, TEDAE as well from Spain. We have another ones, but those are the main entities. Well, of course, the Chilean Air Force, Space Agency. We are part as the next idea that is mentioned there, the Ibero-American Network of a Space Agency that was set up last year in Lisboa. The Latin American, Spanish, and Portuguese space agencies, they signed an agreement of Ibero-American Network of Space Agencies. Chile was invited, but no one from the government attended that meeting. However, we did as a Chilean Space Association, and we signed, of course, not representing the state of Chile, but as an associated party. And in that capacity, we don't have any voting rights, but we have voice. And that is enough for us. Have voice is the main thing. So having voice there, if you take now these two elements, having voice in this network, and also now buildings and facilities to do something in the country, we think that those elements could perfectly work together, and we can put those facilities to the disposal of this network. Also, we work very closely with the ILA, the Organizzazione Internazionale Italo-Latinoamericana, and with them also always participate when they come to Latin America. They usually come to FIDAE, so we are going to be part of the seminar if they come again. So our idea, as you can figure out, is to put together these elements, to again trying to articulate those elements and move forward. Please, the next slide, please. thanks. In this context, the SNSAT, that is the National Satellite Program, is very, very important and is progressing. Then most of all, international financing programs are very, very required. It's a requirement, very, very important for us. Strategic international agreements, of course. Space policy, strategy, plans. Of course, we need a guideline in Chile. And we have a new space policy, but it has been prepared 1 year ago and it's waiting for the signature of the President of the Republic for 1 year. So we expect that before he left the power, well, can sign that policy. But again, we need anyway to move forward. We cannot wait. National space regulations, well, we are pushing for a draft. And basically driving projects. We are looking to have driving projects. We know that Chile have received some offers coming from European Space Agency, coming from some of the countries in Europe, coming from China as well. But we have not really engaged a driving project, a good one, a big one, that could be the starting point of the this initiative for little companies to and startups to grow up. They need to see a market, and we don't have in this moment a driving project that can take these little startups and try to engage them and put them in a level that making efficient entities that can compete internationally, that can export services in the future. Maybe now they have very good ideas, but we need something to really activate them in order to work in a specific project. This is something what we are working very, very hard, because we feel that we are in a momentum. The world is in a momentum, and here in Chile, we think we are in a momentum that we need to have an interesting project, and that the knowledge that we have developed from astronomy, from mining sector, our experience, for example, in Antarctica, we think that those are some of our space assets. Antarctica it have a governance, very interesting governance, that we think can be useful when we think on developing a space governance, for example, for the moon. Yeah, we work very, very closely on that matter with the people of Lunar Policy Platform, the Lunar Foundation, regarding governance, using a lot of the elements of the Antarctic Agreement. Yeah, Chile has a lot of experience there, and we think that could be very useful. Well, but coming back to these drive factors, we see that we have a lot to do. Yeah, and we need to move forward now, not wait for anything. Yeah, we don't. Those sometimes people say we need a space agency. Okay, that's true, but now it's an excuse. We have to move with the elements we have, and that those elements are the talent, the people wanting to do something, the ambitious, and of course the level of preparation of the people that we think is very good. Please, the next one, Adriana. Well, this is the image of the National Space Center that is going to be inaugurated at the end of this year. I have visited this building a couple of weeks ago and was 80% ready. It's going to be finished next month on June. And between June and December, that is going to be fulfilled with all the implements, equipment are required for to its function to work. So in December, it's going to be ready to work. It's going to have a clean room for satellite contraction. It's going to have the test room, the mission control, the innovation center. It has an auditorium for seminars. That is really the starting point of having the ecosystem. I think that is going to be our second home, and we are really delighted of seeing this finish and have it full of activities. Our goal is to have that building full of activity so politicians can see, because they need to see, they can realize, looking what is going on in that building, realizing all the potential of a space. And then from regionals, government see what they can also reply and produce in their own regions. Yeah, so this is now the best news that we have in Chile, this building, and it's going to happen very soon. So we are very happy for that. But we have a lack of the international support, legal framework. We have a lot of needs, and we have a lack of basis of the ecosystem. But anyway, we would like to move based in these facilities and the National Satellite Program and the people that is absolutely committed to work on this field. So basically, this is what I wanted to let you know about what is going on in Chile. And well, here I am available to listen to questions or comments that you may have. Thank you very much.
I thank you very much for your lecture, and I'm really, to the last center, I have a question. The National Space Center, which will be inaugurated in December, where is it placed? And is it in the northern part, in Antofagasta, or in Chile, in
Santiago.
Santiago, or in the southern part? Where is it?
Well, this building is in Santiago. It's going to be in a property of the Chilean Air Force, but it's not going to be dedicated to defense. That is the most relevant thing. Yeah, it's in a place owned by the Chilean Air Force, but it's open to all community. The idea is that all universities can come to these facilities in Santiago. Yeah, that is going to be the first one. And the laboratory, for example, was designed to build a small satellite there, not more than 600 kilo mini satellites. The idea is that in the north, in Atacama Desert, that building is going to be built, not now, that is going to be the second step. And that building will be prepared to build satellite up to 2 tons, bigger. They are thinking in SATCOM. SATCOM could be built in the north of the country. Satellite for observations built in Santiago. And in the Patagonia, they are planning to have a different kind of building designed for other purposes. So the idea is not of all of these competing between each other, basically dedicated to different kind of activities. Yeah, in the Patagonia as well, from the Chilean Air Force, they are thinking also to set antennas, because the position there is very good to download information of satellite in the pole, in the South
Yes, in the
Pole
pole region.
orbit. Yeah. The internet connection is very good in the Chilean Patagonia because it's 5G connection and also optic fiber. So the digital infrastructure is good. So we know that we have we have received a lot of interest for third parties to set there an antenna, and also a space launch infrastructure, yeah, which is something that has been studied by the Chilean Air Force, but with private companies as well. So Patagonia and Magallanes is a very interesting place.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking also, that was my second question, who is financing and maintaining it? And as you said, it's the Air Force, it's, yeah, then we know this companies. So I'm really actually astonished that Chile has no space agency, because I know that very large telescope and the other telescopes and the Atacama Desert has played a model role in, internationally. And so I'm wondering, yeah, and I know I have been several times to Chile, and I know people are interested in astronomy, though it's only a small step to go to space travel. So, yeah, I'm a little bit astonished that they are not interested in it. And or they have not so much space, but they could make use of the interest in astronomy they have. And what I was thinking too, that the Valle de la Luna in Atacama Desert is very often used as like preparation for moon or Mars missions, and they could build a space habitat and do something
Yes.
like this. And because they have the conditions there, and I think it would be a good thing to do. And what I wanted to remark is, at the beginning you talked about people and creativity, and I'm very interested in art because I'm an artist, and I want to bring art into space. And I took part in a mission, and from Euromoon Mars, Poland, MPOL 21, analog space mission. So, and I found it very, very interesting. And we were talking about the human factor, and I was examining the importance of art and creativity in isolation. So, and maybe
Yes.
you could think about some projects in this direction in the Atacama Desert. And but I wish you really good luck, and maybe you can make use of the landscape that you have to get some agencies to put money, that you can build your own agency. I don't know, or you find a president who says, yeah, we have to go into space or whatever. Yeah, but I wish you really good luck for this. Adriano, do you have some questions?
I don't know. Maybe Loreto will like to comment on your,
Yeah, okay.
give you some answer
You
before
want to yeah, okay.
I propose my
Well,
answer.
maybe I can share. Maybe I can share two ideas. First of all, I'm completely agree with you about the analog laboratories. We have the climate, the weather, perfect conditions for testing. And one of the strategy main ideas we have prepared for the Ministry of Science when they signed the Artemis Accords. We say, okay, here we have a list of the space assets in Chile. And maybe within this group of the Artemis Accord, Chile can get like a certification of analog laboratory, because here the testing, for example, of the rovers is perfect. Well, NASA has bring some of those rovers to the Atacama Desert, but also we have abandoned mines fields. Yeah, you know, mining pits. Well, we have abandoned some mining pits that perfectly can be recycled as an analog space laboratories, because they have tunnels, they have, so you can imagine that in the case of the moon, for example, to set there a mission in the moon, maybe it's not going to be in the surface, maybe it's going to be under, and the testing of how you set a mission under the surface of the moon is something that we can try and we can test in these abandoned mining fields perfectly. Is so dry. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and so opportunities we have. Also, we have very extreme weather and conditions in the mountains, in the oceans, in the Antarctic, we have everything you can imagine. You find it here. So to have now the equipments necessary in those places, yeah, and have like a certification of analog laboratory testing is something that we have seen of our asset. Yeah, can be. And then the other idea you mentioned, that you yourself you are an artist and you want to have this vision of having art to make the leap possible, really possible in these extreme conditions, as isolated conditions. We totally agree. And you know that Chile is very closely related to poetry, for example. And this is something that in the association have seen is very, very important. We have, for example, a musician who works in ALMA, the radio telescope that is in the Atacama Desert as well. Yes, he takes some of these sounds and put it in the spectrum that we can hear, and then he used the sounds to compose music, and he has composed very, very good music, and he's member of the association, and we also use him and his presentation, his performance to promote the space in the people, and well, to show that everyone can work on a space, notwithstanding the expertise they have. Yeah, if you are a painting, if you are a designer, if you are a musician, you are very useful for a space. Anyway, yeah, of course, engineers, scientific, they take us to space. But when we are in space, then we need all the rest to make it possible. Otherwise, it's not sustainable in the long term. It's impossible. Yeah, we need the architects. Yeah, we need designing. We need all the rest for the spirit. Yeah, otherwise the people in the mission is going to kill each other. They are not going to support those conditions for the rest of their life. So we totally agree with your perspective.
Excellent. Yeah, so I will have some comments too. And it was an interesting presentation, and it's really fascinating to see.
Make louder your volume? We cannot hear you well.
Really? Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
More near the microphone. Okay. So I was saying it's really fascinating to see a country that is moving, not the first step, maybe the second steps, because I think there is already an history in Chile about spaces. But however, I think it is one of the a good example of what we say You know that SRI is observer at COPUOS, the Committee for the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space at UN in Vienna. And we see that in COPUOS there are, well, about 112, I think, or 213 countries signed to COPUOS, having representatives there. And many of these countries don't have a space agency yet. But however, they are interested to space. They want to go to space. They want to enter the new venture, the new race to space, and this giant enterprise that is to go to the moon and remain, not just to plant a flag and come back, but to go there and make a settlement and to start working on the moon and so on. So this is really something, let me say, something better than what we could expect and hope, because until a few years ago, space was only intended for science, of course, very word scope, for Earth observation and for exploration. Nobody dared to talk about settlement. Nobody dared to talk about industrialization. Now, in COPUOS, that is a branch of UN, even if the people don't know it, because if you go in the street and ask to the people, what is COPUOS? They say, what? Yeah, COPUOS is a committee of UNUSA, the UN Office for the Outer Space Affairs. Okay, however, they are talking about what will come from our settlement on the moon. What are the products that can be commercialized from the moon? What are the minerals that can be mined on the moon, and not only on the asteroids and so on. So this is something that we can expect and we are working for to develop in this century, for sure. And what are we saying at COPUOS? We are trying to talk to these countries that are that want to enter the space program, even if they don't have a space agency yet, but they are really very much interested. Why they are interested? Because, of course, going to space, it means social growth, industrial growth, scientific growth, and all of these things. And what we are saying is that what is happening is a kind of permanent revolution in space, permanent space revolution, where the new countries don't have to run the same road that was gone by the forerunners, because the forerunners had to experiment all the problems first and to solve them and so on. But who enters now has the right to get profit from the experience of the forerunners? So what we are very strongly asking at COPUOS, when we talk at COPUOS, we are talking to 110 countries. It's not a small thing. Huh? We are asking that the forerunners don't deny the know-how to the new entries, because this will only help the development of a bigger effort, of a bigger market, bigger opportunities for everyone. So the space countries, so-called space countries, the big space agencies, the United States, Russia, China, and so on, don't have to be greed and to make a fence around their know-how and their capabilities and so on. They have to help. They have to share their know-how. This is something that we are trying to. Well, of course, we are a small voice. Space Renaissance is not such a big thing, but however, I think it is important to bring this testifying to COPOS and to the UN General Assembly in September. And all of in this place is where, well, let me say, a part of the world is listening. So maybe we can put a seed in the mind of the chief of NASA or the chief of ESA or the JAXA and so on, maybe, and also we can encourage the new entries to not be shy, no, and to say, hey, we are here, we want to work with you. Let us come and work and join together and do what we can. And if we have to learn, of course, we will learn. That is, everybody's always learning, no? So, yeah, so I think it's very important that let me say, the emerging space countries, I call the countries that want to be traveling in space, no? Try to work together and to announce this claiming, this revendication, this availability to give our capabilities and to build new capabilities and so on. So this is very important, I think, for the collaboration, the international collaboration, and to bring yeah, to learn from the experience in space. In space, the astronauts and cosmonauts always work together, even when their countries on the Earth's surface were conflicting. But Americans and Russians from the Soyuz, Apollo-Soyuz meeting in the what was the 70s or something like that, no, 80s, I don't remember, to the Mir station, to the International Space Station, they were always friends in space. Why? Because they see the Earth as a small ball, and the so-called overview effect by Frank White, no? Because they see that there are no borders, no physical borders on Earth. Borders are only artificial concepts that, okay, however. Yeah, so very good, Chile, very good. And let's go ahead, and I wish my best wishes to that building that will be inaugurated in December. And I hope that will be the first break of the space building. And don't be shy. Aim high immediately. Aim to space travel, to human space travel. Think about, you are giving a good priority to analog astronaut training, but analog astronaut training is useful to go outside.
Yes.
Don't to play on Earth, you know. So it's very important that we start working for the really crucial problems, that is protection from radiation, from cosmic radiation in space, and start simulated gravity experimenting. That was a kind of taboo until now. Nobody dares to say, okay, let's stop making space stations that are zero gravity. Let's make a rotating one to start working with that. That's very important, because if we really want to go there and start living and working there, we need to be protected. Our health should be protected from the radiation and from the zero gravity effects and all these kind of things, and start to working with the vegetal ecosystems in space habitats. Also another very important thing, because we cannot live in iron cans for years and forever, no? We need what you have at your shoulder, the green environment, you know? Space, the Earth biome.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so I think all of these things are very important and should be championed by emerging countries. Why not? Because emerging countries also have a very recent experience with agriculture and so on. So maybe they can contribute some technologies, some methodologies to grow plants in space, to select the more suitable species and so on. All these kind of things that are, I think they don't have enough priority in the space agency's programs. Maybe it could be a good contribute that we can give to the civilian development.
Let Loreto say something. You are talking all the time.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
I broke my
Probably
space
No,
not
no.
here.
talking, but I think yeah, I was stimulated.
No, yes, well, two comments about what you are saying. First, yes, indeed, from Latin America, we have a lot of experience in having limitations like we face in the space. And of course, we can contribute on that. For example, Brazil, within the group of the Artemis Accords, they are focused on agriculture. Yeah, of this, yes, because they are an agricultural power in the world. So that is their asset. Based on that is that we think, for example, in the case of Chile, that mining could be our contribution. We say, okay, we live
Mining.
very big part of our economy is based on mining. Well, we know everything about mining and try to do it in the cheaper way, but safety way, etc., etc. We have here pits, mining pits, 100% robotic, 100% robotic. That is an excellent experience and a very, again, laboratory for a space. And the second idea about what you were saying, that of course we have an advantage, the advantage of not supporting the cost of learning, because the rest of the country, the bigger one, they have test and they have made the mistake and they have supported the cost of getting into space. Now we have the technology and we go to space, and so we have that advantage. We don't need to do all the way again to test and create the wheel when you have already the wheel. And I think that in that scenario, it's important that from the emerging countries, we don't ask for an opportunity in the paternalistic way. I'm going to try to explain this concept, because sometimes maybe you get it. The idea is not to simply say, please give me a chance, or please give us an opportunity because we have signed the outer space. Yes, not because we have signed an international agreement and we have the right to equal access to the benefits and the space, blah, blah, blah. No, because we have talent, because we have something to contribute on, because we can be efficient in the things that we have developed for years and years, from decades. For example, in the case of Chile, mining. For example, in the case of Chile, the operations and the governance in Antarctica, just to give a couple of examples. So I think that as you mentioned, we don't have to be shy, but we have to be very strategic in this. We need to provide our competence and to be really competent.
Yes.
Yeah, in those matters. Yeah, but not just ask to have an opportunity in this paternalistic way, but instead of that, say, okay, we are competent in the field 1, 2, 3, and we are less expensive. Yeah, because the time of the engineers in Chile, for example, is less expensive than in other countries, so we are very competitive, etc. Yeah, so I think that this is part of this momentum that we are living in a space that now give us a chance. Now is possible. Years ago, we only have the possibility of being witness. Now we have the possibility of being actors.
And I mentioned this concept in some of my last presentations. I took a sentence by Amartya Sen. Amartya Sen is an Indian economist, and also he got a Nobel Prize in 1998, I think. And he is a very good philosopher. And he was talking about globalization. And he says, I don't remember exactly the exact word, but the concept is this. The problem is not that the poor countries too will get some crumbles from the globalization. The real problem is that the emerging countries will be characters of the globalization, will have a rights to get the profit of globalization and so on. So they will not be waiting for small crumbles from the big table of the bigs. No, they need to sit at the table. They are worth to sit at the table and to participate to everything what is to go there. So I translated this concept to the space. Instead of globalization, I put civilian space development, the expansion of civilization into space. The concept is the same. All peoples of Earth have to participate at the same level of dignity and capabilities and so on. So no need to implore something, no, from the powerfuls. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
Something that Space Renaissance try to champions to be bishop of these concepts. Some kind of yeah. Okay, we do our best.
I have another question regarding these national space centers. If you have their laboratories and so on, who are the people who will work there, or is it an education? Because you talked about education and education center, but where can the teachers come from? So because still there is no space career in Chile. So yeah, who is financing this? Also the military or who?
Okay, well, how we articulate the education in relation to space? Well, in different ways. Regarding astronomers, yes, we have the career, of course, a lot. But in relation to the rest of the space, well, the Chilean Air Force is really doing a very, very valuable job. They themselves are visiting schools. Yeah, this is something that if you see, this is really not their job, but they are really, really doing a lot of efforts in education. And here you have the role of another kind of private non-profit associations that focus on education, 100%. Yeah, that's why we don't do it, because there's a lot of our organizations that they are doing that. Yeah, so instead of that, we, as ACHIDE, we articulate. Yeah, but we work together with all of those organizations to promote, yeah, and spread the education. And we participate, for example, in the International Moon Day. We organize it, and we have a speech about that. Now we are going to have this weekend. We are going to have we say Dia del Patrimonio. I don't know exactly translation in English, but this herring day of what we are as a country, and all public buildings are open for the people to visit. Yeah, and museums are free. So we are in the museums doing a speech together with other organizations. Well, those efforts, yeah, we do it a lot, but they are not financed. They are, again, voluntary. And the programs of other associations are going after the teachers. Yeah, because when you teach the teachers, then you have uh, more bigger group of people influenced by those that knowledge. So some people take care of teaching the teachers and trying to incentivize them to have this their children into space. And of course we push for space challenges. For example, we organize together with other organizations the NASA app challenge, and this year we're going to do it in 3 different cities in the country, for example. So we this never stops. We have a education committee in ACHIDE, and they work the whole year trying to articulate education as well.
I thank you so very much for being here with us, and I appreciate and I admire your pioneer spirit to to construct in Chile something, or to build up something in Chile. And we are working also all voluntary in Space Renaissance, and I know what it means. And I think what you are doing is a little bit bigger, and the effort you are doing. We are doing also a lot of effort. I will not minimize our effort, but I know what it means to establish something like an agency in Chile or in another country. Yeah, I wish you really good luck, and I hope we can help you in distributing this webinar to go forward with your work, your important work.
We will also welcome you if you want to join us, right? Because
exactly, yes.
Because in Latin America, in Brazil, and some other countries, and it could be very interesting to try to build something over there. And so I will send you the link if you want to join. You will be very, very welcome. Okay. And also,
Okay.
It would be really nice. And I also would like to invite our audience to become a member of SRI.
Yes.
And support us in any way. And we see us again in 2 weeks, I guess, on 3 weeks. Adriano, you have it on. Oops, I'm on the wrong folder.
I think we have a Howard Bloom, the next one, or not? Check.
Is on the 2nd of June, or when?
Yes, Howard Bloom. He will present his new book that is let me read it just a moment. Oh my God, I lost it. Sorry. Go back. Calendar. Okay, yes. The case of the sexual cosmos. Howard Bloom will present his new book, saying that, well, a very simple concept that the sex is driving the life in cosmos, and cosmos is working with not with parsimony, not like a greed savers. Cosmos is working, nature is working with luxury, with a lot of different tentatives on different things, and nature doesn't think about what it is spending. It spends, and it is so nature is so glorious, and yeah, I'm very eager to listen to his lecture and to see what Howard will say us. Okay.
So we see us then in 3 weeks, and you're invited to listen to Loreto. And yeah, thank you for being here with us, and I wish you a nice day in Chile. I think it is raining already, so we will
Yes.
release you from
Just on time.
from your position, and
You're
you have
not
seen
wet, however. You're
my
not wet.
cats, and you have seen my cat is here around, and they are really new in my house since 2 days, so I have to look where they
Okay.
are. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I have six. I have six cats here,
Oh, I
but
have two, and
they ran away.
okay, but I will not have more
Yeah.
tools enough, I think. And I thank you so very much for being here with us, and I hope to see you again and to meet you one day personally. And yeah, and I wish you a nice day. And thank you, Adriano, for your work here and for joining us. And I wish you all a nice day and ad astra.
Okay. Well, that's
Bye bye.